Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Wealth Visionaries. I'm your host, Litan Yahav, and we're continuing to dive deep into the challenges of managing complex wealth with the nation's leading wealth professionals. And today I'm excited to chat with Bob Dunn. He's the president and managing partner at Novi Wealth Partners, and he's the guy leading the charge with evidence-based advice that helps people tackle those huge financial moments in life, but with real clarity. Thank you so much for joining us, Bob.
Hi, Litan. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
All right. So I get like that short intro, but I'd love to can you share some more about your background and what you guys are all about?
Sure. So Novi, from its founding, has been what would be called a fee-only fiduciary firm. So February 98, the firm was founded, and the person that founded it, well, which happens to be my father, came from the insurance industry, and he just found that aligning with the client was where he wanted to be. In the insurance industry, he was constantly pushed to sell a new product. What was the flavor of the month, the week, whatever it was, get this out there and get record sales. And he just felt bad every day going home. And he said, this is not how I'm going to do it. So I was fortunate enough to come into this business in 99, a year after the company was established. And I knew nothing different. And back then, I don't know how many people realize, but in 98, that was still a huge fee-based, commission-driven type of industry in every aspect. And fee only and the CFP marks were around, but still in their infancy. So I was very lucky and fortunate to come into this industry from the get-go as a fiduciary and knowing nothing different.
I love it. I haven't met many financial advisors or wealth managers, CFPs for that matter, who transitioned from being in the insurance space. Like that is the and this is I'm saying this from an ignorant standpoint. That just seems to be a very, like you mentioned, revenue driven
Oh
business,
yeah.
right? Insurance, like.
Yeah. So then going from there, the whole concept from day one is adding value. Like the only reason we are here is to be able to provide value to the people that we're sitting across the table from, or sitting through a video screen like we are here today from, because we have clients in 25 states, I think it is now. And a lot of them, this is how we meet with them at this point. And the service offering from that point, it's comprehensive. It's, which I'm sure you're interviewing and meet with a lot of people similar to us in the aspects that we do: insurance, tax, investments, retirement planning, estate planning. None of it is product driven. It's all advice driven, like understanding the client need from day one. And so our process around that, around adding value, has always been about creating, how do I say this, a structured process that can deliver unique advice to every person. And that, like, how do you have structure but keep it unique? It's, well, everyone needs, an investment plan, let's say. Everyone should probably have a cash flow plan. Everyone should have a tax plan. How do all these pieces integrate with each other, and what do they all look like? Each one is going to be different for each person, but we've put structure around each one so we can give the best guidance. Like there's nothing worse than creating something from the ground up every time, because there's nuance and tweaks and everything else. So we've dialed all that in. So when we meet with someone, which I'll give a little excerpt on that, is it's getting to know everything about their family. Let me see here, their personal values, their messages around money. Like what was it like for them growing up in their money stories and so forth. There's another element that we've added. Ryan Vogel, my business partner, he found this thing called the process communication model a few years ago. And it's a tool that we started out with a 2-day training. The entire company went for a 2-day learning session to learn how to identify people's ways of communicating. So that way, when we're sitting across the table from someone, if they're what's called a promoter, we're not talking to them as if they're a harmonizer. Like there's two different, they're like on the opposite ends of the spectrum on how to communicate with them. And so in order for them to absorb and hear what we're saying, we try and shape our conversation and our delivery around the way they want to receive it. And then on top of that, there's even levels that we're continuing. Like we still train every month. Like there's a company wide meeting, all of us get together and we role play and we practice and we try and see, how much better we can get at identifying someone's personality type, how to communicate with them, or communication style. And it helps when we meet people and when we deliver, and even sometimes when we write. Sorry, I'll stop rambling on here, but when we send communication to client, there's certain people there might be called what's called a rebel. You can't give a rebel a list of 15 things with check boxes. They're going to look at the first two and be like, I'm done, that's it. But a thinker or a persister, they're going to look at all 15 and check the boxes right off. There's different ways. So you have to communicate with people in different ways above and beyond, the auditory, the images or whatever. Everyone has different ways to consume as well. So, we're trying to be mindful, because we could sit there and talk to someone till they're blue in the face and we watch for that glazed look over their eyes. And it's like, are they with us or are they not? Because this is a partnership. We're going to give you guidance on what needs to happen, and you need to be there ready to receive it. And if you're glazing over and you're just yesing us and you're not engaged, you're not going to own that plan. And we want you to own it so you can walk away feeling confident and really good about what you've done.
Man, there's so much to unpack.
All
What
right.
you just said. It just takes my conversation. Like I had this whole idea of what conversation I wanted to have. Now I have a totally different idea, and I love it. Because one of the things you see in the wealth management space as an outsider, which is where I'm at, is that it's usually around the talk around money, the financial implications of plan, the future, and all that stuff, and educating your teams around how to identify the best opportunities and what's the latest in the strategies of rebalancing portfolios, and all these things about money. And I just love hearing it's because it's really unique. And we had this conversation before the call. Like it's really unique to hear a financial advisor, which we all know that I'd say, and I don't know if we all know. I always say I think 80% of a financial advisor's or wealth manager's job is a psychological one.
Yeah.
Right. Like the other the other percentage is important for sure, but that's why, like, that's the main reason why tech, when you dive into this as well, why tech is going to be a leveraging power and not a replacing power in the space for people who know how to tap into the psychological aspects that makes us humans, right? And the fact that you take your team to get trained on identifying body language and the reaction of clients and defining them in their own personas, dude, that's freaking amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, good on you. I haven't heard any firms really go down that avenue. So cool.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful for Ryan for coming up with it. I mean, we still make sure all the fundamentals are taken care of that you're talking about before we allow an advisor to sit alone with a client. They have to be a certified financial planner. That's number one. But then number two, we actually have an internal curriculum with criteria to get to the next level. So I'll just give you like a quick synopsis. Like someone we hire an associate advisor. Well, within the associate advisor, there's like 8 standards that they must achieve in order before they can become a wealth advisor. I'm sorry, that's a paraplanner to an associate advisor. Then from an associate advisor to a wealth advisor, we have a 6 element criteria. From how do you prepare for a meeting? Do you have a good knowledge of what the needs are for that client and their vulnerabilities and elements that are important to them? Did you present with confidence and narrow down their options and give them the best and have some confidence behind that when you delivered it? Did you then empathize and hear and then deliver in a good communication pattern? Then the next level is like, and this is all 6 stages. And the way this is getting done is there'll be 2 people in the meeting. you have the wealth advisor and the associate advisor. The wealth advisor has already been trained and met all this criteria. And so then what they're doing is giving bits of the agenda to the associate advisor to deliver to the client and seeing how well they do. And there's a scoring system, 1 through 5, with tangible metrics associated with it. And as long as you're getting 4s and 5s, you're being successful. And that's obviously on the higher end of the scale. And once you've done that, you got to do it so many times. We have criteria associated with that. You start to become eligible to become a wealth advisor. So it's not just like, hey, we hired you, go get new business, go sell products and, make us money. It's, we need to add value. So it's like, these people need to know how to deliver advice in a qualified, quality way that the end result is going to be confidence in the client. And it's, anyway, so it's deep. Like we're really concerned about the experience and making sure people feel good about what's happening when they come and work with Novi.
Awesome. And just remind me, how big is your team?
Yeah, so there's 10 people, 7 certified financial planners and 3 operations.
And those certified financial planners are also the advisors themselves, not just.
Yeah, so we set up on like team structures. So we have 2 senior wealth advisors, myself and my business partner, Ryan, right now. We have 3 wealth advisors, Dan, Ryan Dunn, and Brendan. And then we have 2 associate advisors, Devin and Anthony. So everyone, the only 2 people that didn't have to go through that structured process was me and Ryan, because we developed it. Like it didn't exist. But we knew as the firm was going to grow, and because, all right, so this is going to sound really potentially egotistical, but I try and tell the team all the time, we're like superheroes. Like we're going out and saving people from bad advice. So when Ryan and I sat down and wanted to grow the firm and help as many people as we could in a reasonable fashion, we obviously can't handle mass amounts of people if we're going to give this type of dedicated advice, but we can grow slowly over time to handle to deliver that kind of guidance. And so we established these criteria and training elements in order to ensure that if we're going to send someone off, they can be that superhero and go take care of people in the right way. So anyway, it's kind of weird, but
it's not weird. It's unique, and it's an interesting approach. How many clients do you guys currently have?
I think we're at like 237 or something like that.
So the ratio that you have, like advisor to client, is also
very low.
Yeah.
40, 45, somewhere in that ballpark, even less, somewhere in that. So my numbers are, we just hired Anthony in August. So as a new associate advisor, we haven't even let him sit in on a meeting yet. He's still too green, but he's been working in the industry for 3-4 years, doing it other organizations. We have to sort of retrain. When someone comes in, we want to retrain them so they can break any habits or bad habits they may have had and start to do it the way we want them to do it, or we believe is the best way to go.
Interesting. All right. So you have a team of around 10 people serving about 250 clients, more roughly.
Yeah.
Which the ratio is really low, which means they get very high quality or high
touch, high service,
high touch relationship. Do you feel that is that where you guys are aiming to settle, or are you looking to grow on the advisor space?
Yeah. No, we're growing. Just to give you a concept we talked a little bit about we didn't dive into the onboarding, but we talked really briefly about some of the things that can be expected and so forth. But once someone becomes a client, then on top of it, we have a review process to ensure that every client is taken care of every year. They get 5 things: cash flow plan, beneficiary review, an investment plan update. God, I don't know all the 5 on top of my head. And then there's 3 that get done every 3 years: insurance plan, a new investment policy statement, and an estate plan. So like we have such structure that makes sure that once you're on board, all your things are taken care of, and then they're constantly reviewed. So when we have a meeting with a client, you were touching on this before. If a client meeting, let's say for argument's sake, is 90 minutes, we typically probably spend 10 or 15 minutes on the investments, like actually what's going on in the markets in the world. There are some people that's their primary driver, but we know all that stuff and we know everything about you and what needs to happen. What we need to know about changes, like, are you still healthy? Did you have a grandkid? Do you have, is someone getting married? Is there, like, I need to know changes we all need to know the changes that are taking place in your life. And then we know how, we then take that information and apply it to all the planning that we've already done and see if there's any modifications. Now, I'm going around the circle here. You asked, are we looking to grow? Yeah, of course. We want to help as many people as we can. And, at the rate we can actually handle the new growth, and I'd have to bring up
is the bottleneck the operational side of it, or is the bottleneck just bringing in more clients?
Onboarding. When we bring someone on, we hope that they're somewhat digitally literate. So when they onboard, they can upload all their documents, tax returns, state insurance documents, everything just gets uploaded to our portal. And then we organize it the way we want it. And then we go through it. And it can take anywhere between 8 to 12 to onboard a new client, because the first will be around their values, their goals, and then we're diving into their tangible resources that they have. So then we start the investment plan. Then the next meeting might be around insurance and tax, like what strategies do we have to employ? Then there might be another meeting around estate and legacy and stuff like that. So that whole process can take a while. And, we're still reviewing existing clients, because that's not just sending out a statement and having a 15-minute phone conversation about the markets. It's like, we need to know you, like really know you. And so we're having standard meetings depending upon the complexity of the client. It might be at minimum one meeting a year. We need to see you once a year. Some people get to a point like, do we really need to have this meeting? Like, I trust you guys. It's like, yes, we have to. Like, you may not realize we're getting a lot of information every time we sit and meet with you. So, we'll have that. But sometimes we have like CEOs or business owners and they want quarterly meeting. We become sort of they meet with their team in their business and they have their quarterly meetings to check their metrics and monitor growth and all the developments that they have to worry about there. Well, then we do the same thing. We have a quarterly meeting and we go through their personal progress towards achieving their objectives and their safety levels and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, we're definitely looking to grow. I don't think we can handle 10 clients in a month, but 2, 3 is great for us right now. That's a good, stable possibility.
The inbound that you currently have, is it mainly from referrals or because of like content and education you guys do, or?
Yeah. It's so funny. The reason I talk about only focusing on value, I think last year was the first time we ever had a conversation about having growth objectives. So, before we're getting organic growth through referrals. That's our primary driver. Now we do have an emphasis that we think you need to have a good website for validation. People, if they hear a name or get information, they can go and check us out before they even meet us. So we make sure that the website is quality and giving good information. And the other thing is we are heavy on education. And what I mean by that, we always assess the client. So we have some typical presentations we use with clients, but sometimes we have people that can be PhDs, but neophytes when it comes to investing. So we have a special presentation. I laugh about this one because we had a PhD that was, like a biologist or something heading up a cancer drug. And she didn't know the difference between stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And it's like, all right, great. We'll start there. Like, we'll just give you the basics. And it grows over time. So the reason I'm saying on the marketing perspective, we write blogs every week to make sure that people are up up to speed as to what's going on. It's informative. It's not typically around the markets. It's about behavior management. It might be about estate strategies. It could be an update on certain tax laws or something like that. But we're constantly trying to feed our clients quality information. No noise, sensationalization on the markets are going haywire, or you got to sell, you got to buy. No one knows. People want to think they do, but people that have been in this industry long enough start to realize, like, okay, I got to stop spewing the lies. I don't know how to say it, but you can't predict the future as many people want to think they can.
Right. That's super interesting. And it does sound, based on the level of detail and attention you give to the clients, the ratio advisor clients, I'd assume that, first of all, ICP or your client's persona, but even the structure is more like a multifamily office than it is a mass market wealth management firm. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, internally we have ways we code the clients based on the complexity, if you will. And one of those tags is family office services. So it's not like we have purchased cars for people. I've installed fax machines, helped someone get their driveway paved. Like, we've done some of those extraneous things for clients that have difficulty with some of those things. We've helped out. And I know family office services get really ingrained in the family dynamics. And we get as close as we can. We'll have family-wide meetings, because we really encourage that you start to engage the younger generation earlier rather than later. Like, don't make money be this terrible mystery. Help your kids understand finances and money. And if it's tough for you to be the one to have that conversation, bring them into the office. We'll have it together, or we'll have it alone. Like, you can go away, just send them over to our office, and we'll help teach your kids a little bit about the next generation and finances and why it's important to have these conversations. And there's no charge for that. That's part of the servicing of that existing client. Sometimes we'll have clients that'll come in and there's not a lot of craziness to take care of. And their biggest concern is the next generation. So we're like, good, send them over. We'll talk to them. They might not have a penny to rub together. We don't care, but it's important to our client that their kids are taken care of. So we're going to have the conversation with their kids to make sure their kids are taken care of. So it's the client drives the expectations. We make sure all the fundamentals are taken care of and that they're going to be in good order. But what that client needs is how we're going to try and deliver, if we can.
There's I won't say a problem. I'd say there's a challenge that I've heard in the wealth management space that some advisors talk about, which is there are clients that tend to be more like do-it-yourselfers, maybe think they're smarter than they actually are, they come to you with, hey, but ChatGPT said we should do this. Why aren't we doing that? Or like, oh, I like to invest these, like, in a bunch of my friends' real estate, deals or startups and stuff like that. But how do you, first of all, are those clients, do you guys also serve? And if you do, how do you deal with that type of dynamic?
Yeah. I mean, I think at the outset, I think it was Charles Schwab did a study many, many years ago. I don't know who it was. I'm going to guess it's Charles Schwab. And they sort of divided the public into three categories. Like you said, do-it-yourselfer, validator, delegator. The majority of the people that we would work with are delegators, and about 50% of the validators. The do-it-yourselfers, I think we run into a little bit of a clash, because what we find often is they're not as open. They want to hold things closer to the chest. They want to, obviously, as you said, control all the decisions and guidance. They feel confident enough, so they're not open to hearing our guidance often. We may attempt to work with those people. I'd say the biggest red flag for us is when someone comes in and says, well, I'm beating the market, so I expect you to beat the market even more than me. And I'm like, well, I I can't guarantee that. So if that's your only driver is for, to hire us to beat the market, I'm not your company. Like, I'm not your person, because frankly, if you look at all the studies, I think maybe 12% of all mutual funds over a 5-year period of time have been able to beat the market. And so if you can find that needle in the haystack and do it 5 years in advance, you're doing really, really good. But that's a rarity. So it's like, if you can get market-like returns and add value through tax planning, cash flow planning, all the other areas, now you're going to improve the situation, the things that you can control. Working with do-it-yourselfers is a bit of a struggle, and we've never really had a lot of success. Now, validators, I'll just touch on them real quick. We work great with them. They're people that are interested, they're knowledgeable, they're attuned, they're researching and hearing stuff. And so we're fine with working with them, as so they don't come in and start dictating this stock, buy that mutual fund. We're happy to explain our decisions and how we went about choosing an investment over another investment, and the reasoning behind it. But we're not going to be very good when it comes to someone that says, picking up the phone. We've had a few people like this: sell this, buy this. And we'll be like, well, you realize the tax hit you're going to take on that, and there's no proof that that investment's going to be any better than the next one. And it's like, they don't want to hear it. They got a tip from their buddy and while swimming in the pool, and that's what they want to buy. Can't stop you from doing it, but I don't think it's in your best interest.
I'll advise you against it, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Do you feel like there's more validators today than there were 20 years ago when you started?
Boy, I was green then.
Just because for me, it's just like, obviously AI is affecting everything, but it's just like doctors are complaining about everyone's now a doctor and having symptoms based on ChatGPT or Grok or whatever it is. And I'm hearing the same thing happening in the financial advisory space. So I'm assuming those validators are becoming more common. But
Thankfully. So, all right. So I don't know how astute the audience is, but I think it falls on your normal standard deviation curves. 95% of the people we work with are, they're willing to take our advice and grow in our hands. Then there's the 5% that are still, looking at the periphery and saying, well, I heard about this opportunity, I heard about that opportunity, and we'll have a conversation about it, but it's not too overwhelming. I think the best way for me to sort of garner whether or not there's more do-it-yourselfers today than there was 20 years ago is to really, if we were to look at the initial conversations that we had with people and whether or not they became clients or not. And I also think, from our perspective, the way we do get referrals, and also whether it's through the website or through existing clients, they kind of self-select. So the people that we're working with are mostly professors, executives. The way I break them down is really, they're either really, really busy and they know that they're not going to be able to take care of their own stuff, so they want to find someone that's going to give the same level of attention and detail to their finances as they would, but they need to delegate it somewhere. Or the other people have zero interest. They are true delegators through and through, and they want to find someone they can trust to get them where they need to go. And so it's sort of self-selecting. I think it's a little tough for me to answer the question as to whether or not there's more or not.
Well, that was a great answer. So I appreciate it. Last question, because we're coming up to time here, and it's super. I can go on for a long time. I think this is super interesting. You guys have a super interesting approach. The other side of the AI question, which is not just how people are implementing on their side, but more, how are you guys implementing it on your side of the equation?
Wow, you just teed me up, man. So we talked about starting off delivering value. So from the day one, I come more from an operations style background. So I'm always worried about infrastructure and process. So, and I also, as we grow, I know I'm going to become more and more distant from the intimacy of the relationship and knowing all the moving pieces. So as we grew, there was metrics put in place on everything. So just like I talked about having those 8 items that are done, 5 of them every year and 3 of them done every 3 years, Well, I have that programmed into our system that after a meeting takes place and the agenda items are completed, it literally updates the date fields in the thing so I know that they've been completed. On top of that, the advisors need to put documentation into it. So the reason I'm starting here is in order to have good AI, you need to be able to train it on your methodologies and processes and consistency and outcomes and objectives that you want to see have happen. So we have started down this path. First was research to figure out which direction we want to go and how we want to do it. And I initially was going to be looking at what would be termed like a level 5 autonomy. So if we're to use the example of cars today, level 1 through 5, like I think most car companies are around a level 3 where maybe you can do some self-driving, some braking, lane changes, but there's still attention that you have to have on it all the time. Then you get to level 4 and maybe it can do a little more, and level 5 full autonomy. You just plug in your destination and it goes there. Well, we were going down two paths, and one was sort of shooting for the moon, that level 5, and the other was to find elements that we can leverage AI internally. Security, I should step back. The number one thing we haven't done other than having ChatGPT to be able to query for creation and stuff like that, just to get feedback on things and whatnot. We haven't integrated anything because the number one thing is to make sure it's SOX compliant and HIPAA compliant and all this stuff, because all that stuff is extremely important. So we're not connecting any databases to anything right now. But when we went down this path, we had two options. One was this gentleman that I met that had created his own AI for healthcare, and he said he can convert it to financial services. And it would have been like a level 5 type thing, conversational. It would have been trained on estate, insurance tax, like all those things. But it was scary. Like I just was afraid the leap was too much. And then the other one was to do iterations and find where the things that are just sort of process driven and doesn't take the human ingenuity, or because the AIs don't have that, the reasoning yet. That's still way out. That's level 5 kind of stuff. And I don't know if it'll ever truly be there. So what we've just embarked on a process yesterday was actually an agreement on a contract to start to integrate and discover which elements of our business processes we can start to incorporate some AI into. So that's, we believe it's going to be a valuable tool and resource as we go forward. And so we're investing in it to make sure that we're on the cutting edge for the AI race.
Amazing. All right. Before we sign off, who is you say your typical client is?
Yeah, so we talked about the validator and delegator. Our typical client is probably, well, we have one called Marissa Magic. It's our, what they call the UVP. You're right. No, that's a unique value proposition, your ideal client profile.
ICP. Right?
ICP. So her name is Marissa Magic. She's probably a divorced woman with upper level graduate degrees and working in a corporate environment. A couple of kids and looking in a new relationship, considering being married. So this is pretty distinct because we do have a fair number of married couples, but also second married couples that are very successful. But I mean, if I'm really for a broad stroke, it's executives that are high up with complicated planning strategies and complicated lives, maybe multiple marriages over time and kids and stuff like that. So we're helping them handle their compensation packages and tax management among the different dynamics and so forth. That's probably the top. And then, the typical retiree, someone that's looking to transition. I will say one thing that I'm missing out on is that we do a really good job for people nearing retirement at the age of 55, because between 55 and 73, there is so much tax planning and so many benefits that we can offer during that time frame to get you the best outcomes possible. So that's another, I'd say, the executive. And then if you're retiring a little earlier, 60, 55, 60, somewhere in that ballpark, we do amazing things with clients that are between $2 and $5 million.
Net worth.
Net worth, yeah, investable assets.
Oh, so
Investable
investable assets.
assets. Yeah, yeah,
Not, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Bob, is there anything sort of you want to share with our audience before we sort of sign off here?
The biggest thing I think I want to convey, go find yourself a fee-only comprehensive financial advisor. There's an organization called NAPFA, NAPFA.org. There is a massive list of advisors on there around your location or wherever you're at. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait. Go find someone, because your guy that, is the broker or the insurance person, don't do break fix. You don't know if they necessarily have your best interest or if they're looking at every aspect. NAPFA members are required to do a financial plan before they enter into the organization, peer reviewed. They have to meet certain education requirements. Like, there's a dedication in knowing that they're going to take care of people. So that would be my biggest thing, is start your planning.
Awesome. I love it. All right. This has been an incredible conversation, Bob. I really appreciate it. We're going to share your contact information in the show notes. And I'm sure if anyone wants to reach out to you, you're happy for them to do so, I imagine.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear from people. That's us and the team. That's what we're here for. So
Awesome.
thank you, Litan. I was humbled when you reached out, or surprised, because we don't we don't do the 5-star thing. That's an advertising joke. All these marketing ploys that are just fanciful garbage in my mind. Like, so we're kind of off the radar, and we don't do a lot of advertising and stuff. We don't do any advertising, just charity donations and stuff. So to hear from you and get invited was a pleasant surprise. So thank you.
I love it. And thank you so much for joining, and thank you all for listening. Feel free to subscribe and keep investing smart, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.